Hi guys, Nemo Dane here. To this little video I thought I would go over how to move stuff around and when the engine version changes and how to get everything up and working together. What I'll do is I'll just go over my workflow and that'll kind of give you an idea how I'm doing it, and that might inspire you to do it your way or a different way. However you want to do it is fine. But this will give you kind of a heads up. Um, what I make is I separate my folders so I know where I can find everything, because you can drag links over here in your favorites. And I have a project build folder where I keep all my work, where I'm working on all my projects. And here what I'll have is this one would be the original game, and everything would be poured into this one. So this file is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as I add content, I'll shift it over to here, and this file will get bigger. But I don't want to work in that one because it's going to get big, and we'll have to open it every time, and if I have to compile it, that will be rare times that I'll open and work in that. You'll have to from time to time just to make sure it's working. But generally, if you're doing like some small work, um, I try to use a different version, a cleaner, empty version that's smaller. Now this is going to be for more smaller developers. If you're using source control, that'd be a totally different thing if you got a bigger team. But this is kind of for a smaller team, as in me, and maybe a couple more. So like I said, that one's going to grow. This one's going to be my work folder. It's going to be just basically bare bones, and I'll keep a copy in the backups, and then I'll just bring it over here. And this is just nothing, basically just the kit and what I'm working on. In fact, I'm working on one right now. I'm working on some terrain. That's all that I have in here. So when I have to open it and edit it, it's nice and small, and things come up quick. Once I'm finished with it, then I can simply migrate. I know it works in this version. I would simply migrate it over to the big kit and make sure it works in there. And then we'll keep all that going. And then as usual, like I said, I have a backup of both of those, which is the base build, which is empty. And then I would keep a backup of the project build that I'm working on as it gets larger and larger, because it can be prone to crash, and you don't want to lose any work that you got going on. So with the current update of 4.11.1, we see that it's time to work with a different engine version. What I usually generally do is you can actually go up and see. I'm going to drag this over here. Basically, this was a hot fix. Looks like it just fixed a bunch of issues. Nothing major was changed, so hopefully this should not be a bad version swap. When they get in there and they start changing stuff, that's when you can have the real big issues. They can actually break stuff. But this is just a hot fix, so hopefully it shouldn't go too bad. Last night I did download that version of it. I got the new 0.1 down. I did a clean build, so we know that's working. And I should have made a backup. I hadn't made a backup copy yet, but I got a version that's ready to work. So we know we got a good source build, clean, no errors, ready to go. Then what I would do, actually I need to do this anyway, so we're going to go ahead and do it. My original work that I'm working on, this terrain, is, let me check that just real quick. Yep, that has the terrain in it. I'm going to pause here because I'm going to make a backup of that. Alright, we're back. Yep, I definitely made a copy of both of those. It's a lot of work, but you'll thank yourself if you ever blow up one of these versions and you can't get back all your hard work. So what I'm going to be doing is I would want to migrate this to 4.11.1. So I went in the original one, and what I would do is I would simply right-click it and switch on engine versions. I've already did this one, and so I know it's good to go. And we'll do the other one. So I would go in. I'm going into the work folder. Now we're going to, being as this is not a really big dramatic change, this should work without breaking it. So we would switch versions of the engine. Remember, I've already built the 4.11.1. Simply change to it, hit OK. It's going to regenerate the project files. Should go pretty quick. Alright, that's done. Of course, the bigger your folder gets, it's probably going to take a little longer. And then I would go ahead and run it and test it, because I think you're going to have to rebuild the DLLs. It should pop up and ask me. System's running a little slow this morning. Haven't given it its coffee. There we go. So now we got to rebuild them. And while that's going on, I'll just pause the video. So the build part is finished. Now we're getting the loading screen. That's always a good thing. I wanted to show in that real quick. As you can see, now we're opening editor 4.11.1. So we know our work folder is has been updated, and now it's going to initialize and load the editor so we can make sure everything is working. All right, I'll pause this while it finishes loading. Yay, and now it's open. And as you can see, we're getting the pop-ups from being in a new engine version. I have to disable them, and we got like 3,000 shaders to compile. I've been doing a lot of engine work in here, engine work, excuse me. I've been doing a lot of terrain work, so out of them shader compiles could also be contributing to that. So while the shaders are compiling, when I gets done, we'll test it here in just a minute. But looking good so far. All right, we'll back just a little bit. All right, the shaders are done. My folder is always messed up. Get over here. There we go. Let's go to the maps. See if it's going to run. Oh goodness, more saving and loading. All right, I'll pause the video one more time. All right, we're back. Essentially, I had to jump over to the database real quick and change over the character I was using yesterday and make this new. I had to create a new one and give it a ID of 0 on the character because that character is on another terrain, and when you log into that character, it saves it to the database in the coordinates, so it would log in under this terrain here. So I just made a new one real quick and set it to 0 for testing, and then we're going to hit play. Oh, now I've got too much going on here. Gonna crash my system. My poor little old system needs upgrading. Alright, there we go. So now we are in the game. This is updated to 4.11.1. Everything is working. I'm not seeing any errors. I would probably do a build. I'll probably do that in a little bit just to make sure everything's working. So I'm going to close this out. So we know that the work folder that this is what we just did. This has my map that I'm working on. So that is good. We know that's a good copy. Updated to 4.11, so I can delete this. I haven't blown that up. And then this would be my original that I want to transfer the data to. So I would have to go in there and update it also. So I'm going to pause it here because and then we'll get back to the next part of the video. Alright, I went ahead and did the next one. This would simulate, I haven't got anything in mind yet, but this would simulate your full build, your main project that you're working with. It's been updated, did the same thing. You would just go in there, switch Unreal Engine versions, and update it to that. Make sure we didn't get any errors. Alright, that's good. And if you notice here, there's nothing in the starter content. I'm going to bring that over, and I'm going to use that for the example. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. I'm going to close that out. Let's bring this back up. So now that we know these versions are working, we can simply get rid of our backup copies in case, we kept those just in case we make good to boo-boos. Looks like I got another. Alright, there's our work folder. And this would be our original version. Now that's changing those by using opening the Unreal project folder and just updating the engine. Now if we wanted to move some work into our original folder, so that's what we keep this to work in. So say we went up there and downloaded something off the marketplace. Say we went and got the sci-fi kit or something up there and purchased an asset, whatever, anything that you wanted to. Alright, give me on the marketplace. And then you downloaded it, and then you would use it in the work copy first. Remember, these two are the same version. We would bring it into here. This is the lowest amount of information in it, so it's easier to manipulate. We get our asset in there, open it up, make sure it fully works in this, and then you would migrate it over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. Let's go to my library. I'm going to open up the starter content one. I'm finding that I need some information out of the starter content. It has some textures and some stuff that's being used in the examples of some of the stuff I'm following. But the kit doesn't really have all the stuff in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to migrate information out of here into the folders that I need. And I've already built this as just an empty kit, and but we're going to migrate. I want the starter content out here. And if I showed you just a few minutes ago, in this version, there was nothing in the starter content, hardly anything, just a few pieces, but I want everything in here. So what we're going to do, this would simulate if you opened something in your work folder, got it working, tested it, and it's ready to go, and we're going to migrate that to our completed project. So what you simply do is target the folder or the information that you want. I'm going to grab everything in this folder. So I'm going to right click it, come down here to migrate. It's going to open up the dependencies. This is going to tell you what everything it's taking with it. So it's going to take all this over here, and that's what I want. I'm going to say OK. Then I got to find where I store the folder that I'm looking for. So we're going to take it over here to this folder, and you got to find the content folder, and we're going to say OK. That simply tells me there's some material there that's already, but I want to overwrite it. So I'm just going to do yes to all, and this is probably going to give, not all of it, it's going to give just a little bit of error. Some of it's not going to be copied because some of it already exists there. If you were moving a project you were working on or something you got from the market, more than likely there's not going to be something originally available on your first project. Or it just says some of the files were not copied because they're already there. All right, so now we want to go see if that works. We're going to close this out. Remember, this is 4.11.1. I moved that content. This would simulate something that you had edited in your version, and now it's going to be over in this version. So then we would go over here and open that back up. Pause that real quick. All right, now that that's open, basically I just brought in all the starter content. That was these folders were empty, and we got whatever they give you with that. I definitely wanted these textures and shapes and some of this other stuff. So now this is updated, everything works. Essentially you would test it, and that would be how you move migrate. You would want to migrate to move some of the stuff over that you're working on, and that's why I'm keeping a work project. It's empty, bare bones. So just to recap, we made backup copies, we updated these to the newest version, and then once these are updated, you would, in your work folder, bring in anything that you wanted, your something you bought off the marketplace, content you created. I'm actually building a map right now inside of this one, and when it's finished, I would simply migrate this to my base build, which is going to hold all this information. And this folder is going to get really big. This will be your game, basically where you compile your game from. Your project, you'll build your project build in here. And then, like I said, I'll keep a backup of these just in case I was to blow those up. Since these are in another folder, they don't have good folder hierarchy when you did a build. They're just backups, so you need to actually bring them back into your whatever folder you first built them in. You may get errors if they're not built in that folder. All right, I think pretty much runs this over time. I think that covers how we're doing migration and engine updates, and that'll do it for now. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.